Welcome, everybody. Today we're doing a lesson about Pope Francis. We'll get started. The students that we have today are Spanish speakers, but this is an English lesson taught in English, so you don't need to know Spanish to be able to benefit from it. The theme, Pope Francis, as we can see pictured here. Erica, can you read the question, the first question here?
Sure. What role do spiritual or religious figures play in shaping global moral conversations today?
Yeah, what would you say, Erica?
Well, I think it depends of the place. In some countries, are not like a main like goal or the main character, but in our countries, especially like in Latam, I think religious left their mark. So they are really important, I would say, until these days.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it depends on the country or the region. And then in our countries, everyone here being from Latin America, religious leaders have left their mark. And then LATAM, that would be kind of like the business term that is used if we're having talking casually. Typically we would spell it out Latin America. But yeah, like I worked at Amazon and it was always called LATAM. So that's perfectly all right. Isa, what do you think about that? Do you think that religious leaders have had a stronger influence on Latin America than other parts of the world?
So I think yes. So the religion is an important or could be a so excuse me, Chori's interrupt me.
Hi everybody.
Welcome, Danielle. We were just talking about the impact of religious leaders on society. Would you say that, Danielle, would you say that religious leaders have had a more important mark on Latin America than other regions in the world?
Yes, I think so. I will say so. Still, these countries or countries are very, very religious and very, very. They have like a big faith about the boat, and also, well, this time is actually more important because it was the first pope from Latin America. So yes, from Latin, for sure, I guess.
No, this was the first pope. Okay, perfect. So one thing that Pope Francis was particularly known for was modernizing the church, kind of changing some of the values, while still hopefully not stopping the core of what it is. So we'll have Nancy. Can you read the question for us and then share with us your answer?
Yes, of course I can. In your opinion, how should long-standing institution adapt to? Give me a second, please. Adapt to modern challenge without losing their core values.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what do you think, Nancy?
in my opinion, I think mm, I think maybe maybe it's possible adapt
To adapt.
adapt the institutions without losing the core. Maybe in a mid time. I think that maybe it's necessary to take time. For example, I think 5 years, 10 years is necessary to uh, for to get this this for to do this activity.
Okay. So kind of like expressing a lot of uncertainty because we have like 3 different ways of saying like unsure, like I think, maybe, and it's possible. So this is kind of a cultural difference. In Latin America, there tends to be a lot like softer communication, like less direct. In the United States and the United Kingdom, it's more direct. It's more like, I believe we need to adapt. I think we shouldn't adapt. So just being aware that when you put a lot of like qualifiers, is what we call these, qualifiers, then it sounds more Latin and less like American or British. But yeah, I agree with you that like we shouldn't rush into it. Rush into it. Yeah, it takes time. Okay, and we'll get the opinion of let's see, Jacobson.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome.
Thank you.
What do you want to go by for the call for your name?
Santiago.
Santiago.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes,
that's what I thought, but I was
yeah,
like
I'm
looking at
using
like the profile picture, looking at the image. Okay, Santiago.
Yeah.
What do you think about this question here?
Your BG, how should one student to generate more without losing their core values? I don't know in which context.
So we're talking about like religious institutions, but you could
Oh.
apply it to other institutions if you wanted. A university would be a long-standing institution also.
Okay. Well, I think that right now we need to. The main challenge is that we need to adapt day a day. Every day something new appears, new technology, new software. So I think that we don't have too much time to think to change. We just have to.
Okay. And what kind of changes are you referring to? Like what new technologies have we seen in the last short period of time?
For example, well, last year we have all the things related to the AI. So many companies and institutions has to adapt to that. But maybe this year or the next year, something new is going to appear. So we need to change our mindset again.
Yeah, so we need to adapt every day or day by day to new technology. We don't have much time to think before we adapt. And then, yeah, like recently or last year, we've seen lots of changes related to AI. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, and we'll skip that one because we're a little behind on time. So we're going to go through, we're going to learn some vocabulary that's used in the article. And then we're going to have an activity where we practice that vocabulary. So let's go through, and we will start with Nancy, if you want to read the first one.
Yes, teacher. Vocabulary. Paul Francis. Humble. Adjective. Humble. Don't thinking too highly of one's own achievements, qualities, etc. He's very humble. Even though he graduated at the top of his class.
Mhm. Yeah, so something that we typically value in society. Danielle, second one.
Okay. Pneumonia. Pneumonia, maybe pneumonia.
Oh, pneumonia.
Pneumonia. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Pneumonia.
Mhm.
A serious illness affecting the lungs. I was diagnosed with pneumonia last winter and had to stay in bed for weeks.
Perfect. Yeah, so similar to the Spanish, but I'm just with a ya sound at the end. Like, yeah. Come on, yeah. Okay. Isa.
Yes. Bless. Bless. 2 acts I got to protect, make holy. Someone or something they praise, like his hand on the woman's head and blaze her.
Mhm.
Blaze her.
Yeah. And this, like, if we have like E D after an S sound, it actually makes a st, like blessed.
Yes. For example, I say to my son, every single day, bless you.
Yeah, that's
When
it.
he leaves
And then
home.
also the same for diagnose. Then we'd have diagnosed. Let's get the st sound. Okay, we'll keep going. We'll do Erica.
Breathe a fresh air. Breathe a fresh air. A person or thing that represents a positive change. I think the new manager's approach to employee well-being is a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, so that's a really good one. And pronunciation, so we have breathe, that ends in an E, and that's like a long E sound. So like to breathe, the verb. And then we have breath.
Breath.
Ends in a TH.
It's a breath.
Breath. As a noun. So yeah, very, very similar pronunciation. Just the vowel sound in the middle. Breathe when we're using it as a verb, because that's the E at the end. Breath, with a different vowel sound if there's no E. Okay. And Santiago.
Okay, outcast. A person who is rejected by a particular group or society. Jane's love of heavy metal music made her a bit of an outcast at school.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. And last one, Nancy.
Indigenous.
Yeah,
Adjective.
Indigenous.
Noun. Of are relative to the first people to live in a place. The book was widely criticized for its for its poor representation of indigenous people.
Okay, perfect. Yep. So we're going to use these words from above. So to complete the sentences below, as you can see, we have 6 words and we have 6 sentences. So each word is only going to be used once. We'll start with Danielle, if you want to go first for number 1.
Okay. After, sorry. No. After hiking through the Andes and living with an indigenous community,
Mhm.
indigenous community,
Indigenous.
or
Yep.
indigenous community for 2 weeks, she developed a deeper respect for their tradition and ecological wisdom.
Okay, perfect. Number 2, Isa. Isa, you're on mute.
Excuse me. Despite being awarded to Nobel Peace Prize, the activists remained remarkable, humble always, giving credit
Oh,
to her team and supporters.
perfect. Yep, fantastic. Number 3, Erica.
The child had been sick for days before doctors diagnosed her with pneumonia, warning the parents of the potential complication if left untreated.
Oh, untreated.
Untreated.
And she-
Mhm. Very good. 4 to Santiago.
Okay. His candid and compassionate leadership style was seen as a breath of fresh air in a political climate dominated by cynicism and ego.
That's a fresh. There. Okay. Perfect. Keep going. Nancy.
Give me a second, teacher, because I can't read. Maybe can you move? Thank you. 5. The monk approached the villagers one by one, taking a moment to. I don't know, teacher. I don't know what to.
Bless.
Indigenous.
No.
No, we already used the word indigenous.
To humble.
Okay. Well, let's see, Danielle. Do you want to try and help your classmate? Number 5.
Number 5.
To
Yeah.
bless. To bless. Bless each person with a quiet prayer for a gentle touch.
Okay. Does that look good to you, Danielle?
Yes,
Bless?
it is.
Yes. Okay. Cool. So we'll put bless in here. Yeah, and a monk is like a religious person, like kind of like a priest, but a little different.
But more like the Himalaya people, maybe?
It could be there's Catholic monks, and there's also both I guess would be my answer. Okay. Yeah, both Catholic and Himalayan. And then Danielle, I'll have you do number 6.
Okay. Growing up in a wealthy suburb with radical political views, she often felt like an outcast among her classmates.
Mm-hmm. Yep, perfect. Okay, so let me update that. Outcast. Okay, cool. Perfect. Okay, yeah, you guys got all of them right. Yep. So we'll read the article now that talks about Pope Francis. I know that you guys already know a bit about him from the introduction, but this just gives us kind of shared information. We will start with Isa. If you want to read the first two lines for us.
Perfect. Pope Francis, the world's first Latin American Pope who charmed to work with his humble style and concern for the pure, died on April 21. He was 88. Verse
Okay.
1 is short towers across Rome after the announcement, which was read out by Cardinal Kevin Farrell from the Domus Santa Marta, the building where Francis lived.
No, very good. Okay. And then Erica stepped aside for a little bit. So Santiago, if you want to continue.
I'm back. Sorry. I could go. At
Okay.
7:35 this morning, the Bishop of Rome, Francis, returned to the home of the Father. His entire life was dedicated to the service of the Lord and of this church. Farrell said. Francis, who suffered from chronic lung disease and had part of one lung removed as a young man, was admitted to Gemelli Hospital on February 14 for a severe lung infection that developed into double pneumonia. He spent 38 days there.
No, perfect. Okay. So Erica, you were just reading for us. So what does this mean, return to the home of the Father?
I would say to back to a place, or it could be like to go to the heaven or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So heaven. The first time that I read this article, I was reading fast, and I was like, what is that? But yeah, back to Father with a capital F. So referring to God. Okay. And then we will have Santiago now, if you want to read for us.
Okay. But he emerged on Easter Sunday, his last public appearance, a day before his death, to bless thousands of people in St. Peter's Square, followed by a surprise drive through the square, drawing wild cheers from the crowd. Francis performed the blessing from the same balcony where he was introduced to the world on March the 13th, on 2013, as the 266th Pope.
No, perfect. Okay. And it looks like Nancy is back. So Nancy, if you want to read for us.
Yes, teacher. After that, reigning 12 years ago, the Argentine born Jorge Mario Bergoglio brought a breath of fresh air into a 2,000-year-old institution. In his first meeting with journalists, he said he wanted a poor church that is for the poor.
Okay. And I don't know if you were here or not, but we talked about a breath of fresh air. Nancy, what does that mean in this context?
Can you repeat, please?
What does breath of fresh air mean?
Okay, teacher. Breath of fresh air is when you can inhalar, take air, take in your, how can I
Mhm.
say, inhalar
Yeah, to inhale into your lungs. Yeah,
is,
yeah.
is
So
take
it is
air, is
when
take,
you
when you
inhale.
take, when you inhale, take air into your body, in your lungs, lungs.
Okay. Yeah, so literal. That's the literal interpretation. Santiago, can you give us the non-literal meaning in this context?
Okay. Well, I consider that it means that it's someone that came with new and different ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. So someone who came and you're saying that that Pope Francis was such a person that Pope Francis was, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, uh, I was saying the general definition, not specific with Pope Francis, but I mean someone with fresh and new ideas. Yeah.
Okay. Pope Francis was someone who came with. Yeah. Yeah. So we have the literal meaning and we have kind of the figurative meaning in this context. So yeah, those are good. Okay. And then we'll go back to Erica if you want to finish the passage.
Yeah, he was the first pope to name himself after the 3rd century Saint Francis of Assisi, who was known for his personal simplicity, message of peace, and care for nature and society outcasts. Pope Francis sought out of the unemployed, the sick, the disabled, and the homeless. He formally apologized to indigenous people for the crimes of the church. He pressed the word to protect God's creation from climate disaster, and he changed countries to welcome those fearing war, poverty, and injustice.
Okay. So does this sound like Erica? Does this sound like very like conservative, like traditional values, or does this sound more like progressive, like modern values?
I think, in a sense, where this kind of like, I don't know, authorities usually doesn't apologize. I would say that
Mhm.
at least a little bit different. However, there are some conservative things there, right? Uh, it's trying to change, or at least trying to let us know that they are trying to change.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, we see kind of a shift. I'll pick on Danielle. Danielle, would you say that this is a woke pope?
Eh, you know, I won't say that because as maybe you remember, I have a very, very bad opinion about the woke culture, and I think that
Mhm.
he wasn't like that kind of people. He wasn't like uh, so so sensible and even
Okay.
stupid. No, he wasn't that. With all respect for woke people.
Okay. So yeah, so Spanish, sensible, English, almost the same word, sensitive.
Sensitive,
Um,
yes.
Sensitive.
yeah. And then when to use the and when not to use the. Goodness gracious. Someday I'll learn it, but someday you will too. We for some reason don't say the woke culture. We just say woke culture. So, but I could not tell you the rule why. Yeah.
Woke culture, no woke people, right?
We can talk about woke culture or woke people, either one. Yeah, those people. Okay, we will switch to Isa.
But I think is he wasn't so sensitive.
Oh yeah, so we'll put an X through that. Yeah, not woke. Okay.
For me, no.
Isa, what would you read the first question for us?
Perfect. What are your thoughts of Pope Francis? Passing? Answer?
What was the question?
Yes, I read.
Yeah.
What
Oh,
are
yeah.
you?
What do you think about the question? What are your thoughts?
Okay. What are your thoughts on Pope Francis? So, I'm not a kind of person so religious. So I no follow his ideas. So I'm Catholic, but I'm not a strong believer of the Pope Francis.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm not. We could say like particularly. That it's like kind of indicating like not to a strong degree religious. And then because he passed away, because he's no longer with us, we would say didn't. We would use past tense. I didn't follow.
Okay, I didn't follow. I didn't follow. Oh, okay, perfect. I'm
Yeah.
not a strong believer.
Okay, cool. We will ask Nancy. You want to read the question for us?
How much? How much did you know about Pope Francis before reading this article? I knew a lot of things because I live in Colombia, and when the Pope Francis was elected, no, was chosen or elected, chosen, was chosen.
Okay.
When the Pope Francis was chosen, I feel happiness. I feel happy. I feel happy because no, I feel happiness because I think that here in the region, in the Latin America region, never in the history had
Mhm.
been any pope in the Vatican. And I think that is it was a good opportunity to show our customs, our situation in different aspects. For example, political, economical, social. And I knew many things in interesting things of the Pope Francis. When I remember that he was uh, a priest, sacerdote, priest,
Priest, yeah,
uh,
he was a priest.
priest, a priest in Buenos Aires,
Mhm.
and he also um, mm, was an particular um, society no, religious community, Franciscanos, and they have um, promise of poverty.
Okay. Francis.
Can you use the expression poverty votes?
Oh,
Poverty.
vows of poverty. Yeah, vows of
Vow-
poverty.
Vows of
Vow of poverty.
Okay. Yeah. So
And
let's
also,
look at,
it was
let's
very
look at this.
controversial because he liked the soccer, and also he liked music, traditional as tango. It's not
Okay.
common in a pop. Tango.
Okay. As
Is
long as he
distinct.
doesn't like reggaeton, no Bad Bunny. Okay, let's take a look at this. So you said I knew a lot of things. If you say it that way, like it kind of weakens. When we say like things, it's kind of like it's not a very strong way of expressing it. So we want to just cut that out. I knew a lot because I live in Colombia. We could say chosen or elected because he's chosen by the bishops, the cardinals, but he's also kind of like elected by them. So both work. Just depends on your interpretation. And then because it was the past, we want to say felt. I felt happy. And then this one here, like I told you guys at the beginning before we started that I've studied a lot of languages, and one of the really hard things is the word order when it's not the same, trying to like create a sentence. Because here we would want to say like there had never been a Latin American pope. But when we're speaking in Spanish, it feels more natural to say like here in Latin America, never in the history of the church had there been. So it's a challenging piece right there. But just the more that we kind of can think ahead of what we're, like what am I trying to express? And with practice, it'll get better. So yeah, it's a challenge that I've run into with every language that I've studied. And then the last one I did not know that he was Franciscan. I thought he was Jesuit. So
Yeah, actually, he was Jesuit. Jesuit.
oh, he was Jesuit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I need to look that one up. Jesuit.
I have in my mind that he was the first Jesuit pope in history.
Yeah, I think he was the first Jesuit pope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. And then thank you, Danielle, for adding the vow of poverty. Okay. We will do Santiago. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do this one. Yeah.
Okay. Is there a large Catholic population where you live? Yeah, it is. I mean, we are mainly Catholic here in Colombia.
Population.
Yeah. So yes. I don't know what
And
else.
do you live in Bogota, or what part of Colombia are you in?
Yeah, in Bogota.
Yeah. Okay. Because I remember
to
hearing
give
that
to give you
Bogota
an
is more
example,
religious.
to give you an example of that, past week, on the past week that we were on the Holy Week, I was making a trip to Santander, and I stayed in a couple of little towns along that region, and the people celebrate that. I don't know, processions, and I don't know, different type of religious representation. And also, I was in a religious musical festival. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I guess that I mean, this is an example of how important Catholic is for the people in here.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's a word that we don't use very often, but definitely in the context of Holy Week, we do. Procession. That procession is a type of like a religious parade, basically. Like I remember when I went to Barranquilla, there were lots of parades, but there
But it's a
weren't
different.
processions. Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah,
So different words, different meanings, different contexts.
it's a different context, yes.
Yeah,
Because in Barranquilla it's more like a party.
yeah. Well, it's a celebration that, that God has
Yeah.
risen, right?
Yes, it's in
Uh,
Carnival.
Okay. And then we'll ask Isa if you want to
Okay.
answer the next question.
Who are some well-known spiritual or religious leaders in your country? So I remember el Padre Lineros. On spiritual, so I remember. I forgot the name. Ay, spiritual. So religious, I remember el Padre Linero.
Are there a lot in Colombia?
Yes,
Okay.
even he born in Barranquilla.
You might have to write their names in the chat. I
Yeah.
don't.
So I remember the name is Lineros, el Padre Lineros.
Linero.
Ah, Linero?
Yes.
Este Linero, Padre Linero.
And actually, he
He
no
born in
Linero,
Barranquilla.
Linero, just with
Linero.
and
Yeah.
he quite to be he quite to the shore, so he's not really a priest anymore.
Oh, he left.
Yes,
He
Oh,
left.
okay.
And he got married.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, he got married.
I don't maybe no, but for sure he has a girl.
Ah, yeah, he has a partner.
Maybe that was the reason why.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the time when we talk about the Catholic Church within the context of Latin America, we just call it the church.
The church.
Yeah. So going back to what I said before about when we use the and when we don't use the, that this would be an instance where we're talking about a specific institution. So the church.
Yeah.
Okay. And we will get Erica, if you want to take that last question at the bottom.
Yes. What qualities do you think are most important in a spiritual or religious leader? Well, if you ask me that question, I will say self-awareness. I think is the most important, and also conscious to create this safe space for anyone. I think this sentence in the Bible that says God loves all, like apply in the practice.
Okay. Like putting into practice. Words. Okay. And then conscientious.
Yeah, self-awareness.
Like this is just to show you kind of, I think this was the word you said conscious. which
It's
conscious
like,
would be like aware or like awake.
yeah, awarenesses, and I think self-awareness and um, self-awareness and yeah, I think it's the same. I'm not sure. Right now, I get confused. So, yeah.
Yeah, so like if someone gets like hit upside the head, something hits them at the head, and they lose conscious, they fall to the ground, they go night night. They're not conscious anymore, and when they wake up, they regain consciousness. So consciousness is just like a very like basic thing in like living creatures. Whereas
Oh,
conscientiousness, which is
conscious.
a word that is very hard to spell and hard to say, that's the trait of being responsible and organized and diligent. Yeah, so kind of two different things.
Yeah, the way that I want to see this is to be like conscient. I don't know how to say it in English, to be honest, but like of the others, to treat others with respect. And in Spanish, it would be ser consciente de otros. I don't know how to say it in English, to be honest.
I mean, I guess I would translate that as aware of others.
Aware.
Aware of others. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, like estar consciente de las
Aware
necesidades.
de los necesitados o de las necesidades de los otros.
Yeah, awareness. Okay, we're gonna skip past this section here. Come on. Okay, and then I have a WhatsApp chat with you guys, so we'll talk about when the next session is there. Okay, cool down. We'll do 2 cool down questions. Santiago, I'll have you do this question here. And then I'll have Danielle, you'll get the last word with this question here.
The last word is that what? Okay.
Yeah,
What
so
does
Santiago will answer the first question, and then you'll answer that question at the bottom.
okay?
Okay, so Santiago.
Okay, so how does the phrase "a poor church for the poor" resonate with today's global economic realities? It sounds like a very, very difficult question to answer to me, because this is like relate to political issues and economical issues. But I can say that this is all the main statement of the Jesuit church. They thought that because Jesus were born poor, the church has to be poor as well. And I think this is important. I think this is something that we need to apply right now in our current state of the things, because I consider that people is spending a lot of money and a lot of resources, and we, society, are not taking on account the nature and, well, a lot of issues that we have with the society are extremely great right now. So I consider that we need to maybe make a little of a change in our mindset and spend a little bit less, to consume a little bit less of natural resources, and to think in that way, to like in a poor church for the poor, or like more humble way, could be one
Mm-hmm.
of the solution, or the things that we can make for the future of our
Okay.
planet on our society.
Perfect. So yeah, definitely. I mean, these were not simple questions today. This was not a simple class, but you've all done great so far. The Jesuit order.
Order.
Yeah, that it's a religious order. So capitalize. And then I know this is challenging with Spanish versus English, but people are, this people is plural. Think like personas rather than gente. That's how I think of it, at least. And then yeah, be more humble using the vocabulary from the lesson. I like it. And last word goes to Danielle. If you want to read the question for us and then give us your thoughts.
Okay. What legacy do you think Pope Francis leaves behind, especially for the future popes? I think that maybe his big legacy is about to think in a short that must include some people that that for a lot of centuries were like considered like sinners, like gays and things like that. And surprise, maybe you are going to be surprised, but I think that that is a good thing without the not taking to the strength of woke culture. For sure is very like the Christian the love and blah blah blah, to don't hate people for any condition or thing that or things like that.
Okay, cool. So ending on the theme of Christian love. I like it. That's really good. So I will thank you all for your participation in today's class. It was great to have everybody. And I'm going to stop the recording.